Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Los Reyes Mexican Grill here, Wesley at Nicholson. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. Randy McKay with us on Wednesdays. Wes Reynolds with us on Wednesdays. Scott Rabalais with us on Wednesdays as we make the turn going into the weekend. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Second part of the week, I guess I should say. We got playoff baseball all day yesterday, all day today in the wild card round. We'll touch a little bit on that. And, of course, we'll get all of our experts talking about games coming up this weekend. But the story of Davante Adams has jumped up to the top of the list here this morning as the Raiders receiver apparently is on his way out of town if he gets his wish. And, well, the organization is certainly not opposed to trading him. Davante Adams was traded there from Green Bay 3 seasons ago, and a lot of that was because he wanted to play with Derek Carr. 2022 season, Carr and Adams were together. Adams had a really good year. That year, he caught 103 passes for a little over 1,500 yards. Last season, with a mishmash at quarterback, Adams caught 103 passes for 1,100 yards and change. This season so far, he's caught 18 balls for a little over 200 yards and a touchdown in 3 games. So he's averaging about 6 catches for 70 yards a game. The 2 teams that he has said he wants to go to are the Jets and the Saints. It's easy enough to connect the dots here. Those are the 2 quarterbacks that he likes and trusts, Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. So for the Raiders to trade him at this point is going to require his cooperation because his deal almost certainly has to be restructured. And that's where we start with what it would cost them, the Saints or anybody, to take on Davante Adams' salary, which is about $1 million a game. And I say this year, and I say per game because you get to take off whatever he's played so far. So it's around $13 million that he's still owed through the end of this season, 13.5. Next 2 seasons, his annual salary jumps to $36 million for each of the next 2 seasons. That's an untenable deal for the Saints, probably for anybody else. So you're going to have to restructure. He would have to agree to that. Then the Raiders have to agree to draft compensation. Adam Schefter says that their draft compensation ask is a 2 and something. In other words, either a 2 that can be upgraded to a 1 if he performs at a certain level, or a 2 and another pick. Adams will be 32 years old on Christmas Eve this year. Jimmy,
how much?
He'll be 32 years old on Christmas Eve.
No, I know that. He's a declining player. All right, what's that?
How much does he cost? $1 million a game for the rest of this year and $36 million a year for each of the next 2 seasons. I know what you think. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that I think.
He's not as good as the 2 receivers the Saints have. Why are you going to bring in a 3rd receiver for that?
All right, so you want me to do why the Saints would do this or why the Saints wouldn't do this or what I would do? Why the Saints would do this? They lack another.
I mean, this guy was once, on the top of the league. He's not anymore. He's that far in the rearview mirror. And, I mean, he wants to go and play with whoever he wants in the middle of the season, a 2-2 team? Really? You want him?
Do I want him?
No, I'll pass. He can't get the separation he used to. He's 32 years old.
He can still play, but he's not the level that he once was. Yes, he can still play.
Okay.
But can he play at that level? No.
No.
I agree with you. He's a declining player.
No.
He is also a malcontent, which most receivers are.
Multiple malcontent.
He's now forcing his way out of 2 situations.
What position does he play?
He's a wide receiver.
And how much trouble with the receivers you got giving you?
Right now, none.
Okay. Oh, really?
None.
Well, let's take this turd over.
I understand they want another weapon, but this is not where I would go.
Pass.
This is not where I would go. But let me explain the other reasons why.
They're a third receiver away from going to Super Bowl?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They could use a third receiver, don't get me wrong, but are they a third receiver away from going to Super Bowl? Of course not. I think he's still a productive NFL player. He is no longer a star.
How much in garbage time playing for that crap team?
Well, they were the Raiders last year. They
Yeah,
were
I mean,
terrible,
so how
you could
much in
say.
how many did he catch on Christmas Day?
I
know
don't-
nobody caught one after the first quarter.
You're saying he's a declining player, and I agree.
There's no doubt. No, that's not debatable.
I'm not trying to debate
Yeah, that's
you.
not. That's all.
I'm telling you, he can still play in the league and be a productive receiver. At this cost, no, of course not.
But
And that's what
be careful what you word still, because he ain't still anything what he was. He doesn't still get the separation he once had. He doesn't still get the production that he once had in meaningful time. Meaningful time. Okay? I mean, there's, Geno Smith threw for 500 yards Monday night. They lost. Jared Goff threw it 18 times. They won. Jared Goff threw it 45 times when the game they lost.
So you're saying he can't play at all?
Oh, no. He is, where is he, Charlie? You want to put 25 to 30, 31 to 40? You think he's a top 20 receiver?
No, I do not.
No.
No.
He's not a number one. Is he a number two? He's not on Saints level number two. He can't touch these two guys. These two guys are good and prime, and they're no trouble.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I got a problem with, guys. I mean, are you a professional? Whatever happened to that? Oh, no, we know the position. And you got two guys, and you want to try and compromise that? I'm going to take away from some targets from Olave. How would Olave and Shaheed feel about that? Man, I want to protect those two guys. Those guys, minus the bad decision on the punt return, I don't want to upset those guys. Those guys have been pros. Have they not?
They have. He's on pace for 100 catches and about 1,200 yards, just over what he's done in the last 3 seasons, okay? And just what he's done in the first 3 games. Last year, that would have put him in the top 20 in the league as far as catches and yards, okay? So he's not a complete stiff. I think the cost is too high here. The cost is too high the Saints would have to restructure his salary cap over several years. They would have to take – this year you'd be fine. You'd be able to, extend it out and take the cap hit away this year. But the salary cap hit that you'd have to take, the percentage of your cap that you would take up for him, and I agree with you, I think he's a declining player that can still play, but here's the second round pick.
This is not the first time he's done this crap.
I understand that. I'm with you
I saw somebody put out Washington. Greenberg put out Washington. Why in the hell would you compromise that locker room? Do they have locker room issues?
Not right
they
now,
probably got one of the –
No, for the first time in a long time.
No. If you want to talk about morale, they got to be in the top 5, huh?
Right this second, yeah.
Okay,
right this second, I put him number 1.
This is what we're talking about, getting this guy right now.
Yeah.
We're not talking about getting him 7 years ago. He was great. He was great. Man, this guy is telegraphing and said, I'm a problem. You want me?
He probably ends up with the Jets because the Jets do think they're a Super Bowl team this year, even though they're the only people in the world that think that they are. But they think they are, so if they want to move for him, they can. The second-round pick bothers me a whole lot more than any of this other stuff. Here's the Saints' last 5 second-round picks, okay? Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I think is a player. Isaiah Foskey, who's a stiff. Alontae Taylor, who is a player. Pete Warner, who is a player. And Eric McCoy, who is obviously we see how much they miss him. These are the guys that you build a core of your roster around. Really good players that don't have to be paid like stars, okay? But sometimes they play like it. McCoy played like a top 5 center, even though he was on a rookie contract. Taylor has, he had a rough game last week, but he has been a really good player for the Saints. Pete Warner, he's not a star, but he's a very solid cost control player that they signed to a reasonable extension. This is the guts of your team. If you're going to say, well, wouldn't you rather have him than Isaiah Foskey? Well, yeah, but are those my only choices? The Saints have hit on 4 of their last – if McKinstry's a player, and it's early, but I think he is, they've hit on 4 of their last 5 second-round picks. I'm not willing to put that out the door to jack up my salary cap cause for a guy who may very well be a locker room malcontent when he gets here. The Bills did this with Stephon Diggs. They moved him out the door. He's down in Houston now. Is he causing problems? I don't know. I know who their number one receiver is. It ain't him. It's Nico Collins, number one receiver in the league right now. He's got 100 yards more than anybody else. So would Adams acquiesce to Olave or, however the pecking order would go? I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but I'd pass. I would pass. This is a quick fix for a team that's not in the quick fix business. But my job ain't on the line. Dennis Allen's job's on the line. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Maybe. Well,
You make some sense there.
These are the people that have to make the decision on this trade. Allen's job is on the line, and maybe Mickey Loomis's job is on the line.
You can't let Allen. You can't. I mean, salary cap. All the reasons you just laid out. Salary cap, no. Draft pick, no. Locker room, upsetting your existing wide receivers, no. One thing we know wide receivers want, they're targets. You bring this guy, do you maintain the targets that Shaheed and Olave are getting? You can't.
No, they would go down.
They would go down.
They would go down. But would the offensive production go up?
You want to go for a declining player who, I don't know, another year, he's going to do the same thing to you. And leave you with a price tag. Man, this is the dumbest move, dumbest crap ever. This guy's telling you I'm a problem.
Ultimate quick fix.
Now, was Antonio Brown a problem?
Yes.
When he went to Tampa Bay?
Yes.
What did he cost him?
Tampa, not much. He cost the Raiders plenty. He didn't cost Tampa much, and he didn't cost New England much when they brought him in.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about when he went to Tampa Bay. What did it cost Tampa Bay?
I don't think they gave up a draft choice for him. If
no,
I remember
they didn't.
Right. They gave it was just whatever he was paid.
And then he had to deal. Okay, well, Brady says. I need Fournette. I need Gronk. Yeah. I need Brown because I'm still really good, and these guys might push it over the top, and they did.
And Brown would behave for Brady.
This guy's. Okay.
To a certain extent.
Okay.
Enough to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Okay, he's throwing the bike at the security guard.
No.
He had
by his standards. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
By his standards.
They were one, and Brady was in the twilight. I mean, no, man, no. Now, Rodgers is twilight of his career, is he not? What's he got?
Yes.
A few years left? No injury. He doesn't have much left, does he?
I wouldn't think. I would think this year and maybe next year, and that's it.
Okay. So that's the situation. The Jets are fooled, right? They think they're real close, right?
Yeah.
They thought their defense was so great when they were, and they're still good, but it was a little skewed because the opposing defenses weren't taking any chances. I mean, they can't score points.
Where do you think your receiver away? Who would he make sense for? I can
tell
the
you, Chiefs are desperate.
The Chiefs
are desperate, and the Chiefs are in position. But this is not the last Chiefs run.
No, and the Raiders wouldn't trade him in the division anyway. So, but yes, the Chiefs would make sense with Rice's status.
You say that Al Davis wouldn't do that, but I mean, the Raiders.
I would be shocked if they traded him to Kansas City, but. Okay. Yes,
be careful throwing shocked around when it comes to the Raiders.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean,
that's fair. But with Hollywood Brown on the shelf for the entire season now, they know, and with Rashee Rice's status very much in doubt, yes, he would make
probably
sense.
Out for the year.
He would make sense in Kansas City, but they're not going to trade him there.
You think they haven't gotten the results of the MRI? Of course they did, and they're trying to. I mean,
they said they were inconclusive. Which, why wouldn't they come out and just put him on IR? If
that's a new one. Somebody said 6 knee surgeries. That's a new one.
Yeah, it is. It was surprising because if he was out for the year, they'd put him on IR. They'd use the roster spot.
Yes.
Well, what advantage do the Chiefs have?
Oh, we're not that desperate. No, he could come back. No, he can't. Cam Rosie's been questionable a game day time decision for a year and a half now.
Yeah, but he doesn't cost Utah a roster spot that they could replace him with.
Chiefs are, but it's not helping, the left tackle block anymore. And Mahomes looking behind.
It's not, but the Chiefs don't have any reason to keep him active if they know he can't play the rest of the season. Maybe there's something up there. I don't know.
No. Once they get their guy, he will not be.
Okay. I don't
understand. It's a little possum. I mean, it's a little poker. You play poker.
That's fine. I don't know where else he makes sense. Is there another team that, like I said, is one more guy away? Dallas probably thinks they are. That doesn't work for me either.
I don't know a ton because we don't have a track record, but what I read and what I hear about this Commanders GM, he values draft picks. He ain't taking this guy.
I wouldn't if I were in Washington.
Really, you need him? They're scoring every damn drive. They hadn't punted since the opening game.
No,
we really need this guy.
I wouldn't put him there either. I can't think of the Jets, maybe the Cowboys. Maybe Mike Tomlin thinks that he could do something with him in Pittsburgh. He would be a coach that maybe Adams would listen to. I don't know, but I would pass if I were New Orleans. I would pass for all of the reasons that we're talking about. Now the instant gratification, would the Saints be better if Devontae Adams was in their uniform this Sunday?
Pittsburgh would be at the bottom of the list as far as probabilities to me. I mean, you think Omar Khan and that organization who he's been with for 20 years and the stability that they're going to give up draft picks and do for this? No, they let Le'Veon Bell hold out. You want to hold out? Hold out. Cost yourself game checks left and right. Hold out. I mean, Antonio Brown, when it was time, they kind of had the idea. And do you remember Antonio Brown being that much of a problem with Pittsburgh? That's a strong organization. You going to let this guy in?
No, but the only reason I bring them up is they tried very hard to get Brandon Ayuk in. They were looking for a receiver. If they felt like they could get him for a reasonable thing and bring him into their culture, then maybe. Ayuk overplayed his hand too. He was what player doesn't think they're better than they are? Well, he got paid though.
In that
did he overplay his hand? He got paid.
But he at least he did it in the off season.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 games in, you 2-2. You gonna quit on me? I mean, Hawk Saluka. I mean, what's going on in that city? I mean, they're sharing a condo.
I agree with you. I hope he ends up with
Saints.
I hope he ends up with the Jets.
And I understand your concern. Allen. Allen's lucky to have his job this year.
Yeah.
But don't you think with Kubiak? Don't you think he's still under pressure?
Yes.
If they go 9-8, 10-7, or 8.
Yeah, I do.
So 9-8, no playoffs. He's done.
I think so. That's my opinion. I can't prove that. I don't know what Ms. Gale is thinking. But, yeah, I think if he goes another season without making the playoffs in this division that is ripe for the pickings, yeah, I do. And
on the surface, but they're way better coached.
Yeah, Kubiak has been a terrific ad. I don't disagree with that. But, yeah, do I think that he would be moved if they don't make the playoffs? I do. And if you're Dennis Allen and you're thinking, will I be better if Devontae Adams is on this team? Draft choices, salary cap, all that be damned. Would this team be better if Devontae Adams was on it? Yes, they would be. That would be enough. He's better than any third receiver that they can put out there right now. I wouldn't do it for the price tag, but I ain't in charge.
No, this is a no-brainer to me. I would lose a lot of faith in, to me, what has happened so far, just the product on the field, the hire of Kubiak, I've regained a little bit of my confidence in the organization. I have. Now you could blame, Allen and game management or whatever, losing close games. I don't. I think it's just kind of a little bit of bad luck. I think they've regained. I thought Kubiak did a much better job knowing he didn't have McCoy the second week as far as getting dealt that card in the middle of the game. I mean, they were much better. Weak pass rush in Atlanta. I get it. But they should have won the game. They should not have won the Philadelphia game. But
if the Raiders cut him, that's different. If the Raiders cut him,
if he's free,
then I'm.
We're over here at Los Reyes on Lee Drive, just off of Nicholson, right across the street from Mike Anderson's. A great stop on your way to Tiger Stadium, or during your way to Tiger Stadium. I watched the early and afternoon games over at the Queen, and on my way home, I was watching LSU in South Alabama, watching that Bama in Georgia, watching Illinois cover against Penn State and James Franklin. Yes, indeed. So, you know what? You woke up today, Charlie, in the 70s, huh?
Yeah,
low
it was really
70s.
nice,
It was really nice. Well, we got those garage style doors that we just last Thursday was really pleasant over here in the evening. We raise them up. Look, patio dining available whenever you want. Whenever you want. But just reminding you, October is a great month. Not just because it was the month I was born in, but because we have great weather and we have postseason baseball. And we've got, starting tomorrow, 45 straight days of football, okay? Not just because I was born on October 27th. Charlie's stinging a tail with your Scorpio. But anyway, over here, patio dining available all the time, but now in the fall, football, the fall, playoff baseball, and Miss Blair behind the bar, so kind. And what you want on? You want Illinois? Penn State? Boop. You want Alabama, Georgia? Boop. LSU, South Alabama? Boop. No problem over here. Real polite people over here. But, man, it is patio season, and we're doing it over here at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's.
My wife, my mother, and my brother were all born in October. So
it's a great month. What happened to you?
Yeah. I was late, as usual. Live at lunch, 105 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, the new LouisianaSports.net. New Handycast has been posted with film work, Rich Dixon and I from the LSU and South Alabama game. You get that on YouTube right now. Subscribe and like. Search Handycast on YouTube. All right, same four games we had yesterday in the wild card round. First one at 1:30, Tigers and the Astros. Detroit, the Royals, and the Mets won as underdogs yesterday. The Padres, in the last game, the only favorite that won yesterday. Jimmy, you got some thoughts on the early game?
Yeah, Charlie, Detroit plus 120 hit with Tariq Skubal, throwing 7 innings of, and then kind of hanging on. At the end, they touched up Fromber, who's been, not quite as sharp as he's been over the years. He's had a long stretch. Some Astros fans are being a little picky, but man, he's been so good. He was good this year, but he was not quite as good as he's been. Kansas City and Baltimore. Baltimore has been really one of the weaker teams, especially in the last month. Charlie, they've only won, since the All-Star break, 2 series.
Yeah.
2 series all year. Kansas City can't hit at all. 1-0. Kansas City, we hit Kansas City plus 130. Hit the 3 dogs in one winner. Swept the board yesterday, 4-0, and we put them on the website. And these picks will be on the website a little bit later. But I'm going back with the Astros here. Hunter Brown has been the best pitcher for the Astros. It's a big price, but Tyler Holton is. That is a weak. Even AJ Hinch, the Detroit says Tariq Skubal and chaos is our pitching rotation.
Yeah.
After that.
Nice price on the Cy Young Award winner yesterday, getting plus money. I realize he's on the road in the playoffs, but still.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. Now he was minus money in the first 5. You had to sweat it, and the Astros had the tying runs at second and third when help me out, Hayward hit a line
screamer,
right to the first baseman. Yeah. So they hung on there. Seth Lugo has been the Kansas City's best pitcher all season long. Cole Reagans was really good yesterday, but he's going to be really tough against Baltimore. Baltimore's in their head, and also Baltimore a little. Remember how frugal they were at the trade deadline with all the prospects that they have. They've got the bank. They're full of money, full of prospects, and just did not go out and do anything. But the combination of Kansas City's lack of bats in Baltimore, was going to struggle against Seth Lugo. By the way, Kansas City's bullpen has been phenomenal down the stretch. That's one thing that has covered up some of their hitting deficiencies late. But under 7.5. 3 of the 4 went under easily. Yesterday, the only one was the Milwaukee the Mets game. And speaking of the Mets, I'm not upsetting those bats. They scored 8 runs. Scored 8 runs in a playoff game against some rested pitching. Give me the Mets again at even money with Manaea, who's been a big surprise this year. But I think he can keep it up against Frankie Montas. And I was ready to take the Braves at a big price, but this is basically a pick 'em. San Diego's minus 115 at home. Musgrove against Fried. I could not believe they threw a guy that had one start for 5 innings in May as their playoff pitcher. Why don't they just once they got to the bullpen, they gave up 1 run in 6 2/3 because they only had 8 innings of at bats. But man, they threw this guy out there and it was bombs away. Arise swung at a 3-1 pitch in his eyes, being selfish, but he followed it up with a single. And at Tatis, I mean, there are home run cuts. I mean, that was a Driller's Diamond special. I mean, and it went off the facade, off the upper deck. I mean, good thing he got it. And they got another run, too. This guy lasted an inning and a third. I don't know why he just didn't. Then he used his bullpen. And they kept him at bay the rest of the game. But San Diego, been in that park a lot, too. Chargers move. It's the only game in town. That is as good of a home field advantage as there is. I'm going to take the Padres. I think they got a real shot at making this. You know, when we talk about the Mets' approach at the plate, they didn't want to go play this team in San Diego. They'd much rather play Milwaukee, and that's what led to basically a point-shaving approach at the plate in Game 2.
Astros, Royals, Mets, Padres is what you're going with?
Astros under Baltimore, Kansas City.
Okay.
Mets, Padres.
Mets, Padres. You talk about this in the Orioles head. The Brewers have lost 9 out of 10 in the playoffs now.
No kidding.
Over the last 4 years. And, you know, the announcers were talking about it yesterday. When they lost the lead, you know, because they got out to the early lead, this kind of nervousness is in the park.
Two leads.
Yeah, this nervousness was in the park like, here we go again. You lose 9 out of 10 in the playoffs, that'll happen.
Yeah. You're waiting. You're looking behind you.
Yeah, you get a little gunshot.
Kind of sounds like the Runts, huh? Huh? That sounds like them.
Did
You know the Runts, huh?
Did they sell the national championship in 1959?
Yes, they did, Charlie.
They did, yeah.
It's
friend of mine told me you're going for the record number of days in a row that you've mentioned that the Rebels sold the 59 national.
Nobody else knows it. I mean, my dad taught me. I mean, I knew this.
It's true.
Very early.
It's true.
He bought my grandmother a first washer and dryer with with his players' tickets that he sold for Ole Miss. And he said, I mean, he was kind of a runt on that team, but he said, "Man, I wish we played him every week." I mean, we were act up, and the other players said, "Are you freaking nuts?"
Go right ahead. It never gets old. It never gets old.
History has, I mean, did you see that thing in Oxford?
Study history or repeat it.
Oh, I love the Gamecocks this week, baby.
Yeah.
Upset alert, money line alert. Don't forget our friends over at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060. Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title. Randy McKay, 2-1 last week.
You taking South Carolina, which makes you a buyer on sellers. Because he's coming back.
Oh, well,
quarterback.
He's the
kind of important.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be as bullish on the Gamecock. Go Cocky!
Live at lunch from Los Reyes, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Los Reyes here, Wesley at Nicholson. Come on by and see us for lunch here at the bar. We got a little horse racing going on. We'll have a little baseball later in the day.
They have baseball quadruple header again starting at 1:30. We'll have it over here at Los Reyes Mexican Grill, and it is October. October weather, man, is cooling down a little bit, and man, when the weather cooperates, we roll up the garage style doors to open up the patio, make it free flowing. But we have patio dining available all the time over here at Los Reyes. Let's go out to the West Coast, the mountains somewhere. My boy Randy McKay, 2-1 on the show last week in the NFL. Big Dog, how you doing?
Doing real well. I had a good week last week, and trying to keep it going and find some good value.
Who did you have minus the 3 picks that you gave us last week? I'm trying to find.
Ravens were one of the ones that he gave us. That was one of the winners.
Baltimore, Tampa Bay,
Jaguars. Another one.
Randy. Atlanta, Jacksonville, Baltimore. Yeah. So
Yeah, so no wonder I could have been 3-0 if you got the right closing number. Of course, I had 1.5. I don't know what was
Falcons, yeah.
They got you. That's right. That's right. Well, they where was that last week when we came on that Wednesday? I know that
Snows.
no, I know where we're at. Snows Seafood and Steak.
I thought you
Where
said
was
where
the
were we?
line? Where was the line?
I wrote down
mean,
1.5.
1.5.
I wrote down 1.5.
It was 1.5.
Yes.
They won by 2.
That's right.
That's a 3-0.
Yeah.
Randy, I'm trying to shortchange you, man. Charlie's keeping you straight, though.
I got your back, Randy. Don't worry about it.
I'm a little tougher, huh? But Charlie, but I gotta. You know what? I don't mind that L. It's much easier to turn an L into a W than a W to an L. So never early call a loss. You can always change it. You know.
Feels better too.
Who we looking at this week? Hey, what? Tell me what you think. This Jaden Daniels, is it sustainable in your opinion?
Well, they haven't really played the best of defenses especially the last couple. Where even before that, they played the Giants. They played 3 weeks in a row. They played bottom tier defenses with the Giants. You know, Cincinnati's defense has gone down. They haven't addressed some of the issues there, even though they got a good defensive coordinator. Probably has straightened it out, but wait and see. And then, of course, Arizona probably has one of the worst defenses in the league. You know, this number could be a little high this week. Playing the Browns here, I haven't played that game yet. If I get a 3.5, 4, I'm going to probably be on the ugly Browns. We call them the CSB team of our betting our network, but I can't, of course, say the middle word in that. So that's what we call Cleveland. But I think they can hang against the Commanders in that one.
All right. Who the Commanders got this week?
Cleveland.
Cleveland's pretty good defensively. Their team is not good. I mean, Randy, what point did you give up on waiting for Watson to try and kind of recapture his past, or at least move in that direction?
Probably a couple games into this year. I figure I'd give him another trial since he's coming back from injury, but clearly it looks like they should have kept Flacco, and then you've seen how good Flacco looked again. That game was over, of course, when Richardson got hurt and Flacco was in there. They had a compliment quarterback in there for Indianapolis, and so pretty much done with him. Lower-ranked quarterback, and that defense or that offense is really hurting on the offensive line. Can't run the ball, so that's a big issue for that team.
Yeah, man. When is Chubb gonna? I mean, what's his deal? I mean, he's wait. But he said at least 6 or 8
He's
weeks?
eligible to come off the list next week. But
Next week, okay.
But that's no guarantee that he will. I would think later in the month of October is a better guess.
Gotcha. I mean, they got to have him with him, and you know, and Randy. Another thing, you think Flacco's the best option of quarterback on his second team in as many years?
Oh, definitely. I think Flacco still has it. He proved it last year, and Richardson, he's got unique talent, but he's got a lot to learn, and he's got to learn not to take those hits and be so creative. Otherwise, he's just not going to get through a season.
Hey,
how bad are the Jets? When you talk about Flacco was terrific with Cleveland, he was good in Indianapolis on Sunday. Before that, he was with the Jets. That's why nobody signed him. He looked terrible with the Jets.
He wasn't good.
No,
he was not good.
But we know he can still play now, so it wasn't him. It was the Jets.
Maybe they need to get Watson off the massage table and put him on the couch like Flacco. Just go spend some time on the couch and you go get rehab and kind of get things straight.
But the Jets will trade for Devontae Adams, and then everything will be fine.
The Jets have got a great farm club, man. They really do a good job. Once you do your time there, it's almost like an assistant coach. You go work under Saban at Alabama, and then boom, you can resurrect your career. Flacco, better since he left the Jets. Darnold, better since he left the Jets. I'm forgetting another one.
Well, it breaks down on Zach Wilson, but I understand.
No, but there was another one we had too. Oh, Geno Smith.
Geno Smith, yeah.
Geno Smith.
Got to go back a ways. Drafted by the Jets
as well. So
not Zach Wilson, no.
The Commanders. Would you take either the Commanders at anywhere from plus 250 to 280 now to win the division? Or would you even take, 33-1 was the high part with Bet Rivers we saw to win the MVP?
He's still there.
Is that a consideration, Randy?
Yeah, of course, you lost some value. I think it was like 6-1 almost last week or whatever. It was higher than that at least a week or two ago. So I lose some value there. But the way the Eagles and the Cowboys are looking, probably better to look at that. He's almost got offensive rookie locked up. I don't think they'll give both awards to him. NFL just won't do that unless he really puts up the big numbers.
Did you see the Eagles game when they had the ball just outside the 1 yard line? Maybe the 4 foot line, 4 foot area, maybe the 1.5 on second down, and they didn't push. Eventually turned it over on downs.
Yeah, I don't know what that Eagles team is thinking. Maybe the Vita Vea must have scared them in the middle there to do the tush push, but I guess it was good for me. I had a lot of Tampa Bay in that game and contest and teasers and everything else, so that was a nice one for me, and just a good week for Philly to take a bye. There's 4 teams also playing in the bye this week that leads in some of my handicapping too this week.
Tampa Bay, no, that Vita Vea is a big deal, but still, somebody's got to stop it 3 times from 1.5 yards before you quit running it. I mean, of any teams, I don't think they enjoy defending it either. It's almost like they give up a little bit. It seems like they're getting more and more off of it, even with the Hall of Fame center that's gone in Kelsey. Who's your picks this week, Randy?
Well, I got the Chicago Bears here. I think that they're a cheap favorite here, getting 3.5 at home against the improving Carolina team, but injuries are starting to add up, and Dalton's losing some guys here. See some improvement out of Williams the last few weeks, and I think Chicago's defense will just dominate this Carolina team, maybe even shut them out if you want to play Carolina to be the lowest scoring team, even though that might not be the best odds, but can see Chicago covering the 3.5 here. In fact, it's starting to move as I'm on air here. It was 3.5.
Oh, it's up to 4.
Now it's starting to get up to 4, yeah. So I like that one.
Minus 3.5. You would like 3.5 right now?
Yep, I would still do that. There's still a few spots left.
All right, who's your other picks?
Houston +1. Buffalo kind of got exposed on Sunday Night Football. Baltimore ran right all over them with Henry. Houston getting back their running backs, Mixon, maybe the other one too, I can't think of his name, and then Dell is coming back at wide receiver against a defense that just lost. They just lost another defensive lineman, so they're going to be hurting there. Von Miller, in fact, suspended, and with defense that it was already banged up and looked like it has a lot of holes, so could see this defense pressuring Allen again to have to play score for score, and when that happens, Josh Allen commits a lot of turnovers and costly errors, so Houston has a small home dog there.
Yeah, Buffalo started out a little bit better than we expected. There was a lot of concerns about Buffalo. Where they, are already thin to begin with, and then they, lost some guys during training camp, and then we saw them against against Jacksonville, and that standalone game, and we see that Jacksonville's really bad, but they looked so good in that game. They couldn't have looked any better against Air, but it was so it's not just Baltimore. You still have your concerns for Buffalo.
Yeah, just that I think this defense is going to get exposed, and they keep losing bodies, and Houston has a very talented offense when they want to play and not make mistakes. So like Houston in this spot.
All right, and your third pick this week.
Home underdog here that's playing into a bye, and last week 3-1 of teams playing into bye. The only one that lost was Philadelphia, so pretty strong here. The LA Rams getting 3 or better at home look like a pretty good dog here. They've been competitive, and this Green Bay team Love look rusty, and I think McVay will expose this, and Stafford will expose this Green Bay defense, much like the Vikings did early, jumped out to that lead. And then, of course, Green Bay did come back to make that game a little bit exciting. But getting +3 at home, a team that's got to travel across the country looks good. And then LA Rams can get healthy in the bye.
Hey, Randy, now you had a much better price, too. It was almost plus 185 on the Vikings to win the division. They win a big one on the road against Green Bay. Almost makes a Green Bay for the division a must-win at Minnesota later. I mean, it would really be behind a chunk there. Is what Minnesota's doing sustainable?
Yeah, I believe so because, their offensive and defensive lines are playing, pretty well. We'll see this week. They got a tricky game against the Jets. Them London games are always tricky. I don't know, really, they're overvalued at 2.5. But wait and see on that one. But I think they can sustain it, and I think, Darnold with O'Connell as a coach will sustain not turning the ball over. He had a couple against Green Bay that brought that game back, but they got explosive guys on offense, and I believe they'll be fine. So, I could see them having a good shot. With them in Detroit, I had them two going after each other for the division earlier, so I definitely see that again.
Bears, Texans, and Rams this week from the Big Dog. Follow Randy on Twitter at RR39. Where are you watching the games this weekend?
Well, I'll be down in Denver, of course, doing in-game and betting on the game. So have the red zone on, and so I can concentrate on the scores. And should be an exciting weekend. You guys get a little break from the LSU Tigers too this week, I see.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They're getting geared up for the Runts next week, so they won't miss. Randy, did you know that they sold their national championship in 1959? Did you know that?
7.
What's that?
7 days in a row.
Let's just. Yeah. Johnny Vault was supposed to play in Jackson, but they played here in Baton Rouge. They lost 7-3, although they dominated the game. Billy Cannon, I don't know if you heard of him. He won the Heisman Trophy. He drove it back 89 yards. They have paid for it since. They're cursed, Randy. Now they play South Carolina off of a bye. LSU off of a bye next week. Oh, boy, you just thought it got bad last week with Kentucky. The Runts are getting ready to have it thrown their way. Thank you, Big Dog. We appreciate it. Good luck to you.
All right, thanks, guys. Good luck to everybody out there.
All right. Don't forget our friends at Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Both Charlie and I use Dana's team of specialized attorneys for different reasons, to different stages of our lives. Car wrecks. We'll take care of everything if you're in a car accident. Like I was going down River Road, girl pulled in front of me, boom, totaled the car, the whole thing from the get-go. And I can vouch for that. Everything from getting the car repaired to help you coordinate with the medical care needed. Once again, I know the drill from my own personal experience dealing with Dana Brown. And, it's our law firm for a lifetime. Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com.
Live at Los Reyes Live and Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This one's in your wheelhouse, Ott. NBC wants to flex the Week 6 Commanders-Ravens game to Sunday night. Looks like a much better game, right?
I've always had a problem why they wait so late for all this.
What's in Sunday night right now is Bengals-Giants. So NBC is like, no, we want Commanders and Ravens rather than Bengals and Giants. CBS is putting the block up. They're saying, nope, you got to. So when you ask me in 2 weeks, why are we stuck with this crappy game? Blame CBS.
So
they tried to flex it, and CBS blocked it. So whenever you complain about these guys, I try to tell you that there's intricacies of the contract where other networks can block it.
Okay, but they attempted to.
They tried.
Okay,
they tried.
Since when have they even had a chance? Or this early in the season? Because it's always like the 11th, 12th week of the season.
Yeah, it used to be like that.
Because they want to make
they're
sure.
earlier and earlier. Yeah, but they're complicated contracts.
Remember, I brought up that Giants and Jets, the New York prime time, the record.
Yeah. They're
0-1 this year.
Okay, well,
so they lost. Jets lost at San Francisco. It is horrendous. It's horrendous.
You'll get a chance to see the Giants in Week 6 in prime time. At least it's against the Bengals. Hour number 2 straight ahead here from Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Wesley and Nicholson live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we return here at Los Reyes. Wesley at Nicholson, come on by and see us for lunch. We're in the bar area, got all the TVs going. Had some baseball later on today here at Los Reyes. Come by and see us for lunch.
Quadruple header, baby. Yes, indeed. We got everything over here. It'd start off with different appetizers, but, or you could do our lunch menu. We got a lunch menu that's available 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. So check it out. So different soups and salads, entrees, different from the quesadilla to Mexican pizza. Charlie, you had that filling too, huh?
Yes, I love it.
Generous portions.
Double decker, yeah.
Generous portions over here with affordable prices. Always at Los Reyes. Hot tamales, different combo specials. You know where you do combine a beef taco, beef tamale, and an enchilada, or you could do it with the chicken or the burrito. Different type of burritos. A fish special. We got the grilled drum that we do over here with sauteed mushrooms served with sliced avocado, cilantro, lime sauce, with rice, refried or black beans, and a burrito bowl that we both had over here from time to time, Charlie, with the Mexican rice, refried or black beans, pico de gallo, guacamole, and fajita chicken, brisket, or fajita steak, or even gyro meat over here. Different tacos, specials as well. Lunch menus, again, is available 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Man, dude, basically about $14 over here and get a full lunch portions. Also, Taco Tuesday specials, Charlie. We've got $5 $3 tacos. Taco Tuesdays, $3 tacos with fajita chicken, fajita beef, fish, the brisket, birria, shrimp, and you can mix and match and add rice or beans. And, of course, our $5 all-day Wednesday margaritas. That's right, the 16-ounce margarita special, $5 all days on Wednesday. But don't forget, 2:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week. The large Sencillo margaritas are just $8. Our house margaritas are just $8. 2:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week. Here's Los Reyes Mexican Grill.
Scott Rabelais usually with us on Wednesday. He's off on the off week. I'll give you what came out of the teleconference. It's not a ton of news for LSU in the off week. Brian Kelly did announce that they're moving Javian Toviano to the Star. Toviano has sort of fallen out of had fallen out of the rotation at corner, wasn't playing very much, and so they're going to put him at Star for the rest of the season. He's not going to start at the position, but you may see a little bit. Kelly is trying to narrow his rotation at safety, and figuring out what he's going to do at the Star is a part of that. So Toviano, who the idea about getting closer to the line of scrimmage is kind of what they're talking about there. And if you go look, we did show some of this stuff on the Handycast on the film, that there are plays for the safeties to make that are not always being made. So they're using this week as sort of not a recuperate week, but as a way to narrow is the only word I can use that I think really fits what they're going to do in the secondary, especially at safety. They're also hoping to get Zy Alexander back for this game against Ole Miss. The other thing that Kelly was asked about, and this was yesterday in his media availability, when he was asked about Caden Durham's foot injury, he says, "You're not going to get much out of me on injuries." He almost it's a little cagey when he said it.
What's up with that? Because he was kind of like overly revealing, almost like, okay, coach, you still?
Yeah, it made me a little uneasy, the what he said and the way he said it, because he's usually pretty forthcoming about this stuff. He'll give you a flat answer. If they don't know, they don't know. But it made me a little bit nervous. Now, Durham came off with a foot injury. We saw him on the sidelines, and Richard made a comment about this in the postgame. He said, when we saw him, he was kind of smiling and laughing, and he didn't play in the second half, but he didn't look like a guy who was, oh wow, I've got a really serious injury. He said generally, if guys, got a smile on his face, he feels like he'd probably be okay. And that's kind of what we felt like coming out of the game on Saturday night. And he got a week off, even if it was something that was, need a few days worth of rest. Kelly's answer yesterday didn't send me over the moon with confidence, but we're not going to overreact to it until we know. But his presence now in this lineup, it has gone from, a luxury to, man, that's your guy. He got his first start in this game. They talked about ramping him up. We even showed some stuff in film study where he actually stuck his nose in there in pass protection, which is always the big, question mark when you talk about freshman running backs going in there. It's an instinctive position when you have the ball. It's generally the things when you don't have the ball that may keep you out of the lineup. He kind of stuck his nose in there, delivered a couple of nice blocks, and one on the quarterback draw that Nussmeier went in the end zone. He laid a lick. So if he's out for any amount of time, and I'm not saying that he is, that would be bad because he's one of the guys that's really emerged in the first month of the season as one of those guys that they got to have. He's the best running back that they've got by a considerable margin, I would say, at this point. So a little something to watch. Jimmy, what do you think that line is going to be on LSU and Ole Miss? I don't know Ole Miss still got another play.
3.5 Ole Miss right now.
You still think it's that high, even
yeah,
after
I know
they
it
lost?
is.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Oh, you got a line. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I would have thought it would have gone down a little bit after they lost to Kentucky.
It did. It did.
It was.
It
Well,
was
I thought it was
6.5.
last Friday. It was 6.
Yes.
Okay.
The Runs were top 5 in the country, Charlie. They
I
had
know,
played
but
nobody. They played a flag football schedule. But
when we were doing the show on Friday, I asked you, "What do you think the line will be?" And you said it was like 3.5.
I always thought it was going to be 3.5 by the time we got here.
So what is
had they beaten Kentucky, which they should have, and beaten South Carolina, it'd have been between. I think it would have been 4.5, 5.5, but it's going to be 3.5. Now this weekend, I mean everything counts, but I think it's going to be 3.5 when they come here. They've shown even if they win and cover, which I do not think they're going to do on Saturday. What time is that game too?
Ole Miss and South Carolina is at 2:30.
2:30.
Yeah.
I still think you played a physical style of game. You let Kentucky play their style of game. You're going to have to play. Now, we knew this beforehand. You're going to have to play two teams on the road back-to-back weeks that they're coming off of a bye. And I think that's going to be enough to keep it, to keep it 3.5. They lose, it'll be under a field goal.
Yeah.
They lose, it could be a pick 'em. Very close to it.
And I kind of think that even if they win, there might be a buyback at 3.5 to get it to 3 or under. Ole Miss laying 3.5 to LSU in Baton Rouge, coming off of a loss to Kentucky, and LSU coming off of a bye week. It just seems like, just my opinion, is that there'd be some buyback on LSU next week to get it to 3 or under, even if Ole Miss wins the game on Saturday. That's just my opinion, that you would have a little bit coming back. Now, Ole Miss will have played 2 road games when they come here. They went to Wake Forest as well.
You know that ahead of time. If they lose, I mean, then it's.
Well, if they lose, obviously. But I think
if they win, say they win.
Let's say they win right on the number.
7. So
Okay.
they win by 7. It's going to be 3.5. I mean, and it might be 3. Could be 3. If they win
number.
single digits.
Yeah.
Not as much as not nearly as much as in the NFL.
They end up winning that game 30-20, something like that, 31-21. 31-21 would be about what the total is and what the spread is. That would kind of be the most as expected result, with a total at 53, somewhere in that area.
Well, not to my expectation. I think they're in trouble. I think South Carolina's pretty good.
I like South Carolina in the game too.
Let's face it, LSU was. I mean, that boy don't get hurt. They're not winning.
No, I said that in the post game.
Not even going to be competitive.
I don't know about not competitive, but they wouldn't have won.
Charlie, check out the drive chart when he was healthy and when he was out. It came to a screeching. I mean, the needle just stopped. I mean, on the record. I mean, it came to. I mean, they were going up and down the field to where they punted like 4 times. They didn't punt when he was in the game, huh?
They turned the ball over,
do a
I
post
think,
game,
once
right?
in the second. Yeah, I do a post game. I also know LSU scored 21 points in the second half, which doesn't have
That's
anything
fine,
to do
but
with
if you can't stop,
I think they would have won the game.
And they had to get a missed field goal to win.
Yes, I watched the game. I did 2 hours of post game. I think South Carolina would have won the game. I'm not saying it. I don't think it would have
easily.
Been it would have. No, I don't think it would have been a runaway. LSU was starting to move the ball in the second quarter. They moved the ball in the second half. I think South Carolina would have won, but I think LSU would have been.
That's fine, Charlie. They moved the ball. That's not. Nothing has changed there. There's no argument. That happened. We saw that happen. We saw night and day when that guy went out for the game. South Carolina's not. And look, there are injuries. Okay, South Carolina's not a program that's going to have a lot of depth on it, and that's why. I mean, that was a big injury.
It was a huge injury. I think South Carolina would have won the game by a touchdown had they
more.
No, I disagree.
That's okay. You're wrong a lot.
Well, it's okay. You are allowed to disagree.
What makes you they were going to say they were going to stop that guy? You said it too. You mean this guy is no good that threw in there.
He couldn't throw the
football. He was ineffective, and this guy looked like Cam Newton against us. Did he not?
He looked fantastic. He
was big. He was knocking guys off of him. He was throwing balls. I mean, now could he keep that level of play the whole time? I'll grant you that. That's not a given. He could have played that high level, but he wasn't getting any smaller or slower or weaker over the course of the game. We were bouncing off of him like it was Cam Newton.
My opinion of why LSU would have been competitive in the game has nothing to do with that side of the ball and has to do with the other side of the ball. LSU didn't score in the first quarter.
I'm not arguing that.
Okay, so all I'm saying is it would have been competitive.
So they would have traded scores and they would have maintained their 14, 18-point lead.
And it would have been competitive. It was an 8-point lead. It was an 8-point lead at the half when he went out. It was 8 points. And I think that's about where it would have ended, about a touchdown. So that's my opinion, and you have yours, and that's why we do this every day.
So he went out before half, huh?
He actually played a series in the second half. Now he couldn't move.
Yeah,
he
okay.
couldn't move. But he played the first half.
When did he get hurt?
At the end of the first half.
It was right at the end. He didn't.
I don't remember if Ashford quarterbacked that last series or not. It was near the end of the first half. Near the end of the first half, and they sent him out there to see if he could go.
It was obvious he couldn't.
He couldn't play. We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. If you're dealing with pain, mental or physical, they can help you out. If you've got a little knee, you got a back, you got a neck, something that's keeping you from getting around real good, something that's keeping you from a good night's sleep. Let Michael Goff and his staff help you out. They can get you in a program where they're going to target your problem areas, get you to exercise it and stretch it. Maybe you get to feeling a little bit better, a little loose. But if you got to go to a dry needle, electric nerve stimulation, cryo, or ultrasound therapy, they can help you out with those things too. They've done it for my family. They've done it for me. So let them help you out if you're dealing with some kind of physical pain right now. Let them get it subsiding. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Here at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
East, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
Yes, indeed. The Fighting Cignettis. Let's get to it. Another win, another cover, huh? Challenge had some firepower from Maryland. Had some big plays, but, man, the Hoosiers keep rolling along, Wes. Good job.
It's like it's 1967.
Yeah,
just like it, Charlie.
It's been a long time since they've been 5-0 guys, and now trying the first weekend of October to get bowl eligible. Usually we're sweating after Thanksgiving to try to get that 6th win and see if we can get to the Blue Bonnet Bowl, which doesn't exist anymore, but any of the old school bowls, and just trying to get in anywhere. And now it's looking like maybe a big time bowl. this year. I think, hold off with the college football playoff talk. I've seen all the percentages. It's like, they're 38% to make the playoff. And I guess, you take it week by week and say, why the hell not? But now you go to that small stadium off Lake Michigan, that temporary stadium Northwestern has, and 14's a lot of points. I think there's some 13.5s out there as well. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything with this game. Northwestern is off a bye. They have a way to kind of like ugly games up. They're usually pretty darn low scoring. So this is going to be, I think, a little bit tougher test than a lot of the Indiana folks think, because some of them are looking ahead to homecoming, with Nebraska coming in undefeated, and there's a big, rallying cry, hey, let's sell it out. And let's sell it to Hoosier Red, not Husker Red.
Yeah, starting quarterback for Northwestern has yet to throw a touchdown this year. So, 4 games in is not throwing a touchdown. So, in right. So, averaging 108 yards a game passing. It's been pretty damn ugly. They could have easily won that game. It was a Friday night game against Duke in that spot. But very picturesque. It's a beautiful, beautiful setting. So it was the battle of the beautiful settings when they went tailgating in Seattle last week. So anyway, but it is tough to watch that offense. And one thing about Indiana, they look very clean with all their new pieces, including Rourke at quarterback. So. Don't sweat it, Wes. Everything's gonna be fine. So they're gonna.
I know, but old habits die hard, Jimmy. You know that we're cynical. We're already looking forward to basketball, and it's like, okay, when's Midnight Madness? In Bloomington, but not this time around. That I'm Big Ten Media Day.
What on?
Purdue.
Give us a little bit of a profile on Cignetti. You were. Maybe it's just the annual optimism, off-season optimism, but you had a little bit. But he seems to be a little bit of a kind of maybe a throwback, sort of personally. So give us a little insight what you're hearing about how he operates and how he conducts himself in player or administrative relationships.
Yeah, look, he has come in. He comes across as like, I'm being a hellraiser here, but. He's working within the system, but he's saying, this is my program and this is what we're going to do. And, he comes in and he's a guy that's paid his dues because he doesn't look it, but he's 62 years old. He's not this young, hot, upstart coach that's in his late 30s, early 40s. This is a guy that's paid his dues, that was a position coach, worked his way, a lot of different assistant jobs, of course, was with Nick Saban on the Alabama staff, was with Chuck Amato on the NC State staff when Phillip Rivers was down there in Raleigh. And then, worked his way up to Pennsylvania in Division II as a head coach. Won big there. Then went to Elon. Then went to James Madison, now at Indiana. And, it's just a sign of the times that, like, we're 5 games in and people are already like, well, what about Kurt Cignetti to West Virginia? Of course, Pat McAfee had to put that out there because Cignetti played at West Virginia. So, I guess it makes sense, but Neil Brown keeps hanging on down there. But, it's like, let us just enjoy the moment right now. But, he's come in, and it's a professional organization. Just noticing it, from sitting behind the bench at the Rose Bowl, how professional it is and how, disciplined they are, and they're just more organized, and watching them in warm-ups. There's just those little things add up, and I think there's a belief when you bring in kids and you bring in coaches, they won at a different level in the Sun Belt at James Madison. When you bring them in, they bring in a winning culture, and they're not going to accept anything less. So, I'm very excited to see how Indiana is doing right now.
One of the measuring sticks that we love is conference record. It eliminates all of the other, crap games. He's won across 4 stops now, 80% of his conference games. Across 4 different stops, multiple levels. 80% of your conference games.
Yeah.
That's an amazing stat.
And look, Nick Saban would say it when he was here in Baton Rouge. To say, well, when it said, well, Saban's going in here, he's going to Detroit, he's going to Colts, he's going to Bears, or he's going here, he's going to Notre Dame or whatever. He says, well, but nobody wants your coach? Okay, I mean that's part of the territory. And listen, it's not an easy place to win, Wes. Would you rather have people wanting you coach? That means he's doing something good. So, and that might lay the pavement if he does leave. It may lay the pavement for a more. It definitely makes the job more attractive for his successor. So, I mean, you got to.
You're exactly right, Jimmy. I was just going to say that kind of reminds me of an old Bill Self quote, the Kansas basketball coach, where he's like, if you're losing some recruiting battles or you're not winning every battle, then you're recruiting the wrong guys because you want players that other programs want that you have to beat them out for, and that's the same with coaches.
And the most tangible thing, okay, as far as some hope and some optimism long term, you part of the Big Two. I mean, that meeting in Nashville right now between the SEC and the Big Ten, you're in. So, I mean, that is the haves and the have-nots. I mean, there's a big gap. It's only widened. And so there are a lot of people that wish they were in the conference affiliation that the Hoosiers are in. How about your hometown team and the UNLV Running Rebels? We were on target there. We both had the Rebels. We both thought it was a neck and neck race to begin with. There was not a quarterback was not super productive. It was way more than the team. And then they played with their hair on fire. They destroyed a team that hung with Michigan for quite some time. Is it sustainable now against a really potent passing game in the Ohio State transfer in McCord, Syracuse coming to town?
Yeah, now up to 6.5. I think, if this got to 7, you would certainly see some buyback. But, yeah, there's a lot of things going on with the Rebels. Obviously, with what happened with, Solka transferring and then Cosmalik Williams having an awesome game for UNLV, and they just stomped a mud hole in Fresno State. So you've got that, and then you've got, okay, what conference are they going to be in? It's like every day. UNLV's recommitted to the Mountain West. Maybe they have a shot at the Big 12 or whatever. So, this conference realignment certainly isn't going to change, but you got to put that aside and obviously focus on the now right now. Syracuse looked potent in the passing game. That defense, though, is a little bit lacking. And I've watched some teams like Ohio and Stanford that I don't think are the most potent of offenses go down the field against these guys. So probably the only play I would play right now is the over at 58. If this got to 7, I might have to take a little bit of piece of Syracuse just because, this is big hype. This will be Syracuse's first road game too. So, that's kind of that us against the world first time going on the road. And you would think that's a bad spot, but that tends to bring a team together. So if this pops 7, I'll probably have a little on the orange.
Who's your other top 2 or 3 picks in college football this week, Wes?
Yeah, I got a few that I've played so far. I did play Cal at 11.5, and I think there's a couple of them out there, and there's some 10.5s and 11 against Miami. Look, I just think Miami was damn lucky last week to win against Virginia Tech of that touchdown. I shouldn't have ruled the touchdown and did, so they got all wrong, and then they got the review wrong because they didn't have enough to overturn. But, yeah, this Miami team going on the road to Cal. Cal gets game day there for the first time in school history. They're probably going to have a big crowd. It is ACC after dark, shall we call it. I want to call it Pac-12. I'm so used to it.
ACC after dark.
It is.
I know. It's just so stupid.
It's in third, but that's the way it is. But I took Cal in the points. I also did take Vanderbilt at 23.5, mid-afternoon game in Nashville against Alabama. I think the Vanderbilt team has improved. They were in that bad spot where they lost at Georgia State. They should have beaten Missouri and weren't able to get it done. Mizzou's been living really dangerously, but winning all these close games. But, maybe just kind of a little bit of a flat spot for Alabama with all the emotion. Low in the lead against Georgia. I don't know why they're snapping the ball with 25 seconds left to go on the play clock when you got that lead. But Ryan Williams, man, he's only 17. It's amazing. That kid's a pro now, and he's not even a grown man, but pulled in that touchdown and Alabama wins. So I did take Vanderbilt in that spot. And then a couple others. I like Minnesota getting 9 at home against USC. I think, USC, this could be a little bit of a tricky spot. Minnesota showed a lot of heart, fortunately for me, having them in the points because they were getting drilled by Michigan and actually had a chance to win the game in the end. Kind of got a screwy call against them on that onside kick, so they should have gotten the ball late.
I mean, with the Miami Virginia Tech game, it goes to the team that's in contention. Michigan Minnesota game, it goes to the defending national champion against a team, the program that's, what have they ever done in Minnesota? So, I mean, it just, Charlie just kind of, the benefit of the doubt. I mean, there's star players that get calls, but I mean, welcome to college sports, huh?
Yeah.
Or you think there's anything to it?
No, I find myself a little bit ambivalent toward that particular team at this point because I've seen them do some good things, and I watched them in person, obviously. So I don't.
Who are you talking about?
You're talking about USC Minnesota, right?
No, Michigan Minnesota.
Oh, the Michigan Minnesota.
And the Miami Virginia Tech calls. The calls going to the stronger team or the team still in contention for a playoff position for a desperate league right now.
Well, we went through the whole the whole Virginia Tech Miami thing yesterday. That was a ridiculous interpretation. The application of the rule was not what I thought it should be.
Hey, Wes, before we get you a top NFL pick, Devontae Adams, we talked about this, and we're kind of a lukewarm at best. That'd be being kind as far as should the Saints go and approach him, but he wants to play with his old quarterback, whether it's with Rodgers or whether it's with Carr. Any insight besides what we know about Devontae Adams requesting a trade?
Yeah, look, this Jets thing has been rumored since the summer when Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know if this was just Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, where he's like, yeah, look forward to playing with him soon. Or he kind of threw that out there just very casually, but there's maybe a chance that could happen. Look, certainly that Jets offense, after what I watched last week, that game for 100 wins and doesn't even have 200 yards. That Jets offense, I think, needs some kind of oomph, and I think a lot of it is the offensive line just hasn't come together. So, look, it could make a little bit of sense, but it's just amazing how quick it turns, Jimmy, because Devontae Adams was one of the guys that was leading the band here along with Max Crosby. They were leading for hey, you got to hire AP, you got to hire Antonio Pierce, and the Raiders went on that run late in the season, and it's you don't really want to let your players take their coach, but Mark Davis kind of got caught between a rock and a hard place, and, went with his guys and was okay, yeah, we got to give this guy a chance, and I don't know what not been able to put it together, and I don't know if really AP is the guy to get it done here. So now you already got your star wanting out, so that's not a good sign.
All right, Wes, who's your best pick in the NFL this week?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple real quick. One, we'll go local down there in New Orleans. I like the Saints getting 6, and there's 5.5 out there as well against Kansas City. I think Kansas City, look, they're probably very fortunate to be 4-0. To be honest with you, they just they couldn't get away until real late against the Chargers, with Herbert hobbling around and not near 100%. So I think I know tough loss in Atlanta. They got the score late and couldn't prevent the field goal at the end. But I think the Saints, look, I'm a believer in what they've done offensively. I think that Kubiak is running good motion. So I think the Saints getting all them points, I think they're going to be very live. And I also think, hold your nose for this one, the Cleveland Browns are going to be live in Washington. You got a Washington team that's now won 2 games in a row on the road. They come home as favorites, even against this Cleveland team with a banged-up O-line. I'm not ready to lay it with the Commanders yet, so give me the Browns.
All right, follow Wes on Twitter at Wes Reynolds1. Yes, indeed, a great follow. Wes, great stuff as always. Good luck to you Hoosiers. The Rebels, we're pulling for them, man. We hope you cash some tickets this weekend. Great stuff as always.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends over at Electric Man, BatonRouge.com. Electric Man for all of your, it's not do-it-yourself type of work, but any for electrical needs at the house or at the office. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Quality service. $79 service calls available over at Electric Man. So, whether it is Whether it's installations, lighting, electrical safety, Electric Man will take over. It's not do-it-yourself type of work with electrical work. It's including lighting. Looking for fast professionals to conveniently set up good lighting for your home or your office fixtures or for your home office. Electric Man can provide additional security lighting, quality holiday lighting, or even wireless lighting to brighten up your interiors or your landscapes for the exterior. Electrical safety inspections, dedicated computer circuits, electrical code updates, wiring updates, surge protection, circuit breaker replacements, you name it, we've got it for you at Electric Man. ElectricManBatonRouge.com.
Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We saw the odds on where Davante Adams is going to end up. The Jets are the favorite, but the Saints are the second choice. You thought you didn't want him before, Jimmy? How about this from Raiders coach Antonio Pierce in the press conference about a half hour ago? Davante Adams is dealing with a hamstring rehab.
No, he was out last year.
The rest of us
last
are
week with
focusing on the rest of us are focusing on Denver. So he says, "Hey, he's got a hamstring. The rest of us are focusing on Denver."
He sat out last week with the hamstring, and it was Adams and Crosby who spoke up. Hey, Antonio Pierce is our guy. So they let the players hire the coach, which is not ideal, to say the least. And then Crosby don't even go to the game last week.
I didn't realize that he was not
at the game.
Oh, I didn't know that. It was a home game. If it would been a road game, he didn't travel because of the injury. That would have been one thing, but that was a home game. Why? Did you say why?
No explanation. Nobody knows. He's not talking about I mean, it's.
And that guy's their best player. I mean, he's the best player on the team.
How long have they been poorly run?
Since Davis took sick. Since Al Davis took sick.
I know one thing. We wonder where Brandon Staley is. He's not managing the Mets. I know that.
No.
They knew how to get their split.
Before Al Davis got sick, he was one of the best minds in football.
No, he went. His dated approach of running a team was sort of correlated with his wardrobe, Charlie.
Yeah, it was great in the 70s and 80s and into the.
Yeah, it was fly in the 70s, but then it got outdated.
Thanks to Los Reyes for being our host tomorrow. We're at Walk-Ons, the original Burbank and.
Thank you, Miss Blair. She's so nice over here.
Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. So I got to ask for help. Make sure you're not wasting time, you're not wasting money. The supplies that you need will be on hand. And easy shopping at ThibodeauStore.com. You can order online and have it delivered. Lumber, get that from the Pierre Port store. And if you're going down to the coast, the Thibodeau store, lots of fishing equipment, tons of grills, unique furniture from unique Cypress furniture, and a whole lot more. Check them out, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. The Thibodeau store and online, ThibodeauStore.com.